From the moment he stepped through the curtain, there was something different about him. His body wasn't just strong, it was almost unnaturally dense. Thick cords of muscle coiled under his skin like they were stretched to capacity. Under the heat of the arena lights, his arms would bulge with roadmap veins crawling up toward shoulders that looked permanently pumped. His traps sat high and wide, pushing into his jawline like slabs of concrete, and through all of it, his conditioning never dipped. No puffiness, no bloating, just razor-sharp muscle stacked on top of more muscle. During the mid-2000s, as WWE entered an era of tighter drug testing and public scrutiny, bodies around Cena began to shrink. Athletes who once looked unstoppable began showing up leaner, smaller, visibly affected by the pressure of wellness policy compliance. But Cena only got bigger, fuller, more cut. His transformation between 2002 and 2006 was staggering. His shoulders exploded in size, his arms thickened, his chest looked double its original mass. It was the kind of change that didn't just raise eyebrows, it triggered entire message boards. Fans began posting side-by-side images, pointing out the growth in size, the increase in vascularity, the grainy texture of his physique that resembled every known case of performance-enhancing drug use in modern bodybuilding. The look was textbook: round muscle bellies, dry skin, thick traps, and deeply split delts. The kind of physique that, according to most experts, isn't achievable without chemical assistance. Even wrestlers off the record have acknowledged that Cena's size during his peak years made them wonder. Some believed he was protected. Others thought he was just gifted. But through it all, Cena never budged. He never slipped. Never admitted anything. In every interview, every podcast, every awkward on-air moment when someone brought it up, his answer was unwavering. He never touched steroids. He never took shortcuts. His body, he claimed, was the product of consistent training, a clean diet, and unmatched discipline since the age of 13. And he said it with such intensity, such conviction, that fans were left wondering what was more unbelievable: his physique, or the fact that he insisted it was all natural. The transformation wasn't subtle. By the time Cena was headlining pay-per-views in the mid-2000s, his body looked like something that belonged on the cover of a chemical-enhanced fitness magazine. His waist was tight, his arms were ballooned with thick density, and the level of grain and separation in his muscle tissue looked photo-ready even during mid-match close-ups. Every time the camera zoomed in on him, his skin clung to his body like cellophane, exposing striations across his shoulders and lines in his quads that didn't soften, even after 20 minutes of in-ring work. There was no water weight, no fatigue, no signs of fluctuation that usually come with heavy travel or brutal schedules. His look didn't just hold up, it intensified. The longer he stayed on top, the more his body evolved into something most fitness experts described as stage-ready year-round. In the bodybuilding world, that kind of conditioning is nearly impossible to maintain naturally. Most competitors spend months prepping for that level of dryness and definition, then flatten out the moment a show ends. They rehydrate, they eat, they return to a more manageable form. Cena didn't. He walked into airports, TV sets, press conferences, and Saudi stadiums with the same tight, dry, full-bodied silhouette every time. And all of it was presented to the public as the result of good training, clean eating, and strong discipline. WWE never once acknowledged the elephant in the room, never addressed the visual differences between Cena and the rest of the roster, never questioned how one man maintained such elite, shredded fullness for over a decade while everyone around him shrank, recovered, reset. Backstage, those who had been through the storm before him noticed. The veterans from the steroid era, the ones who had felt the highs of synthetic help and the crashes that followed, recognized the patterns. Some kept their mouths shut. Others dropped lines in interviews, vague, coded, sometimes bitter, but no one ever confronted it directly, because Cena wasn't just a top guy. He was the guy. The one Vince trusted, the one advertisers demanded, the one with no priors, no scandals, no failed tests. His record was clean, and that made him untouchable. If anyone had evidence, they kept it to themselves. If anyone suspected anything, They knew better than to say it out loud. And then there was the timing of the wellness policy. WWE's public response to a decade of whispers, lawsuits, and deaths. After Eddie Guerrero, after Benoit, after media pressure forced the company to appear accountable. In 2006, the wellness policy was announced with all the weight of a company trying to bury its past and reinvent itself. Testing was implemented, suspensions were handed out, body types visibly shifted. It was obvious on screen. The bloat disappeared, the mass softened, the traps shrunk. It was a detox happening in real time. Except for John Cena. While others leaned down, Cena thickened up. His look didn't fade or level out. It intensified. His chest looked more striated, his delts looked fuller, his forearms became corded with thick vascularity, and his overall size remained untouched. The very things that made others suspicious were the exact things WWE chose to amplify. His appearance was central to the brand. He wasn't just the top guy, he was the image on every shirt, poster, and promotional graphic. He was WWE. That image couldn't be cracked. Not during media storms, not during wellness investigations, not when the company needed someone to present as the clean face of a very dirty business. Cena understood this too. In every media appearance, he kept his story short, simple, and unshakable. He didn't dance around the subject. He didn't offer lengthy explanations. When asked about PEDs, he said no. Flat. No room for misinterpretation. He once said he would take any drug test anytime. In multiple interviews, he claimed his discipline, not drugs, built his physique. He never let the door open an inch. There was no nervous laugh, no cracks in the armor. The answer never changed, not once. But as time went on, the internet grew louder. YouTube channels began dissecting his body changes frame by frame. Fitness professionals began breaking down his size, symmetry, vascularity, dryness, and fullness. All the traits that made people pause. They compared his physique to that of known steroid users in both WWE and pro bodybuilding. Cena's body showed the same telltale signs. The 3D delts, the freaky vascular arms, the thick high-set traps. The look of someone who had achieved elite muscle development while staying completely dry and tight for years. It wasn't just impressive, it was suspicious. Because natural bodies don't stay like that. Even the most disciplined genetic outliers can't maintain full mass, striations, and low body fat through injuries, travel, stress, and non-stop appearances. At some point, something gives. But for Cena, nothing ever did. His injuries didn't change his size. His film schedule didn't water him down. His age didn't deflate him. Even when he returned from absences, he showed up looking arguably better. Fuller. More detailed. At one point, in his late 30s, he looked sharper than he had in his 20s, a visual that defies most biological norms. Fans called it the Super Cena effect. But to those paying closer attention, it looked more like the effect of someone who was consistently optimizing behind the scenes. And yet, there was never a suspension, never a leaked test, never a whistleblower. Through the Benoit trials, the congressional hearings, the death toll that piled up across the industry, Cena's name stayed clean. When others were dragged into lawsuits, class actions, and scandals, he remained insulated. Whether that was because he never touched anything, or because WWE couldn't afford for him to be caught, remains the question no one in the company has ever been willing to entertain. Because to admit, it would mean unraveling the one image that held everything together during WWE's darkest years. In the end, no test ever surfaced. No report leaked. No trainer stepped forward with receipts. All the suspicion, all the visual comparisons, all the frame-by-frame breakdowns. None of it could override the one thing Cena always had: control. Control over his words. Control over his image. Control over the narrative. For 20 years, he stood in the middle of a business that was rotting from the inside out and walked through it untouched. While others fell to addiction, scandal, and exposure, Cena didn't blink. He didn't shrink. He didn't flinch. He kept saying no, clean, natural, disciplined. And maybe that's what makes the whole thing so hard to shake. Not because there's proof, but because the only person who ever really knew never broke character. Not once. Not on screen. Not backstage. Not under pressure. Not even for a second. Whether it was all natural, or a lie buried beneath years of loyalty, silence, and corporate protection, the truth never came out. And at this point, it probably never will. Like the video, drop your thoughts below and subscribe for the real stories WWE doesn't want you to hear. Turn on notifications. We don't miss the moments that matter.